So it has now been established by the police that Tuesday's bloody clash at the Kumkum Yam Market was sparked by the assault of a man alleged to have stolen a mobile phone. The suspect, whose name is yet to be given, was said to have returned with sympathizers to avenge his attack. Addressing the media on Wednesday, the Inspector General of Police, David Asante-Pietu, also put the death toll at 1, with 8 others injured, including the pregnant woman who was shot.
The Accra Regional Police Command received information that a young man, name unknown for now, stole a mobile phone belonging to another man, whose name is also unknown. That a group of people allegedly beat up the suspect and released him. At about 9:15 hours the next day, the suspect went away only to return with a group of his sympathizers on a revenge mission, which was effectively repelled by the victim and his sympathizers. The suspect and his team left and came back for the second time, reinforced in numbers, and attacked the victim and his team, resulting in the death of one person, a male aged about 27, who suffered gunshots and cutlass wounds. 8 other people sustained various degrees of injuries and have since been admitted at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital receiving medical attention. The 8 include one pregnant woman aged about 30. Fortunately, one of the 8 injured persons has been discharged and will assist police on the investigation. Several other properties running into thousands of Ghana cedis were destroyed. On receiving the information, a police deployment was immediately dispatched to the scene. At the scene, it was confirmed that an attack took place but was repelled. The situation at the time had remained calm. The police patrol team remained on the ground monitoring developments. However, the regional command invited key stakeholders in the area to a consultative meeting. It was during this meeting with the elders and opinion leaders of Agbogbloshie. And while the meeting was ongoing with the leaders of these 2 fading factions, the officers on the ground requested for reinforcement with information that there was a renewed clash in the area, resulting in public disorder. A reinforcement of more personnel and the 4 police unit were dispatched to restore law and order. The military later gave us a backing with 1 platoon. The meeting was therefore adjourned to enable the police to restore law and order as a priority. According to the first responders to the scene, there was total pandemonium at the scene, and that shops were being set ablaze and gunshots heard. The joint team of police and military succeeded in bringing back order. 5 suspects have been arrested and currently in police custody, assisting in investigations.
The IGP has also been speaking about measures put in place to repel further violence that may occur in the area.
Police has taken the following steps to maintain law and order. 1, we have created a command post at the scene to ensure continued security of Agbogbloshie and its surrounding areas. We urge all citizens to give any information to the command center in person or call 0299206800. These numbers have been printed and will be given to you. The regional commander shall be available to attend to such persons at the regional headquarters, Accra. He can also be contacted on phone number 0244 682 740. 3, extensive patrols are also being undertaken throughout the country.
Interior Minister Ambrose Derry is meanwhile promising to ensure those responsible for the Agbogbloshie clashes on Tuesday will be brought to book. The Defense, National Security and Interior Ministers were in the community earlier on Tuesday to meet the two ethnic groups.
So the Minister for Defense, the Minister for Interior, as well as the IGP and other senior security officials are currently here in Kokumba trying to ascertain the situation for themselves. As you can see, that's Ambrose there in your pictures. They're trying to get up close personal and understand exactly what has been happening here. They're trying to meet the leadership of the Dagombas. Their decision is to engage with the Dagombas first, examine what exactly the situation is, and then they will move forward to the of the Kokumba people and determine what happened. So let's follow these issues closely. Minister of the Interior Ambrose Derry says the security officers on the ground have been given the green light to seize all illegal arms in possession of civilians within the area. He adds the IGP would meet leaders of various groups as investigations begin into the incident. Mr. Derry promised the police will embark on operations to retrieve weapons in possession of some residents.
I say that if you do anything against the law will take its course. If you have evidence of those who have killed, when you go to the IGP, give it out, there will be an investigation and the law will take its course. Nobody can kill anybody and go free. So I am saying that send the evidence there and something will be done about it. Don't take the law into your hands and reply. If we get those people who have done it, they shall be tried according to the law.
There have been accusations and counter-accusations of political undertones in Tuesday's violence, but Minister of Interior is assuring that the crime would not be politicized.
Let me again refer you to the position of the government, which is very clear. The President made it clear that lawlessness by supporters of a party simply because their party has won an election is unacceptable.
Meanwhile, youth leaders for the Dagombas in Agbogbloshie are demanding justice for previous deaths after the 2008 elections.
The program started early 2009. Immediately they declared the results to NDC. The youth of NDC started killing us. If you don't run, you rather go with blood or else you die. And then they collected all our properties. Through that, they killed 4 of our brothers. Nothing happening. So we thought when we got the power, we have to come back and then have our properties back. Me, for instance, maize was sold in somewhere May to one Kokumba woman 4,000 cedis. I followed to have my team back. I rather end up paying for it.
Meanwhile, the Kokumbas want perpetrators behind the dastardly attacks arrested and prosecuted by the law.
Honorable Yapanya, Munina Mabahano, yet your book at here, Mamo, yet Tinamuka say, but yes, sir. Only a 1 year bonina, one or two Akun, Unipa, and know why you only Unipa, Nyano, yet doing yaw, ya, Munka Mumboye, Mukabi Maye, Yanio Bafo, Baby, I just say no, Yanabri. Kokoma for Nina, Obi Obede, Obekamaye, Ndia Shrimp and Fonama say, Munchana Mukasa with Maye.
From the Kokumba market, Favor Nunu reporting for Joy News.
The related development, the regent of the Dagman Kingdom and acting president of the Dagman Traditional Council has strongly condemned the act of violence perpetrated by some lawless people and criminals at the Agbogbloshie market on Tuesday. The regent in a statement said the sequence of events as narrated clearly points out to acts and conducts which amount to the commissioning of crime and lawlessness, and said it is important for Ghanaians to appreciate the need to distinguish crime from other considerations such as ethnicity or tribe in order to allow the law to deal with persons who commit crime in this country. It is unfortunate and sad for the police and the press to cover criminal actions with tribal or ethnic connotations. It continues, we live in a country where there is rule of law and respect for human rights of individuals. Therefore, the police, the press and members of the general public should recognize and treat anyone who commits crime as a criminal who is acting on his or her own accord and not to link him or her to a tribe. It concludes, in my capacity as the regent of Dagbon and acting president, Dagbon Traditional Council, I wish to reiterate that there is cordial relationship between Dagombas and other ethnic groups within the kingdom. And that let me take this opportunity to say that Dagombas and Kumkumbas are peace-loving people and they are not at war with each other. Therefore, what happened at Agboglushi in Accra should not be generalized and linked to any tribe. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point, but we have more stories coming up. Please don't go away. A Kumasi High Court on Wednesday granted bail to the 13 members of pro-MPP vigilante group Delta Force who attacked the Ashanti Regional Security Liaison Officer last month. They were each to post a 10,000 CD bail bond with 2 sureties. It comes a day after they were convicted to a fine of 2,400 Ghana cedis each for escaping from lawful custody when the colleagues invaded the court and forcibly freed them last week. Insure FM's Nana Essensumensum has more.
Each accused person is to post a bail bond of 10,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties resident in Kumasi. A passport picture of the surety should also be provided to the court. The accused persons are also to report to the investigating officer once every week. The trial judge, Justice Obri, also ordered the accused persons remain in prison custody until the bail conditions are satisfied. Counsel for the accused, Matthew Appiah, told Insure News his clients are innocent.
They were remanded into prison custody at the last agenda on the 6th of April 2016, and we were dissatisfied. It was unfortunate that the crowd that came to the court disrupted the courts, and therefore it had to end at the circuit court yesterday, where we were forced to plead guilty because of the unfortunate incident. But this is the bail in respect of the substantive case, which the accused persons have pleaded not guilty, and the case is yet to be heard by the circuit court judge.
So what are the conditions of the bail?
The conditions are quite clear. Each accused person is granted bail in the sum of 10,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. The sureties should be resident in Kumasi. They should provide passport photographs, and then the accused persons must report once to the investigating officer once in a week. These are the conditions given by the High Court judge.
So we are assuming that by the close of the day they're going to satisfy the court conditions.
That is what we are hoping. We are hoping that by the close of the day they should be able to complete the necessary legal processes for the bail to be granted, so that even if you are not able to do it today, we hope that by tomorrow they will be able to go through the process, and then they will come out. And then at the next agenda, we are ready to face the trial. Okay. Our clients are innocent of the charges level against them at the RCC. The prosecution has no evidence to show that indeed they committed those offenses. That is why it saddened our heart at the last time when the circuit court incident happened, and it disrupted the whole process, leading to all kinds of issues that has even led to conviction on the lives of our clients.
So in summary, for now, your clients are currently now going back to the prison until they satisfy
Of course, until they satisfy all the conditions of the bail, they will go back to prison custody, because that is where the court ordered them to be, pending any necessary orders that will be made by the trial court or a higher court like the High Court.
Now, the Kufuor Circuit Court B has refused bail to 3 Chinese nationals and their Ghanaian counterparts for their involvement in illegal mining at Dentra, a suburb of Nkoko in the Eastern region. The court, presided over by Her Worship Mercy Ade Kote, rejected plea for bail by counsel for the accused persons on grounds that he failed to formally apply to the court. The counsel, Musa Suleimana, prayed the court to grant bail to his client, citing reasons that they could not escape because the state had already in its custody valuable equipment and machinery belonging to these illegal miners. Police in the Eastern region last week arrested 3 Chinese illegal miners at Dentra, a village near Nkoko in the Eastern region, with 3 Ghanaian accomplices. The operation, led by the new Drabing Municipal Police Commander, Superintendent Richardson Kumkum retrieved 4 excavators, 2 pump action guns, over 60 cartridges, and 3 pumping machines from the Galamsey site. Lawyers for Moako branch manager Jihad Shaban, who is facing a charge of assault at the Bhagya District Court, have served notice they will file for the case to be struck out at the court's next hearing. This comes as the prosecution winds down its submission so the court could hear the accused side of the story. There's more in this report.
Detective Eunice Ashiagbo, who has for the past 2 hearings been testifying, was in the box again on Wednesday. She had so far been helping the court appreciate how she carried out investigation and decided to charge Jihad Shaban with assault of the caterer. She was then cross-examined by lawyer for the accused, Julio de Medeiros. Lawyer Medeiros asked the investigator whether she found out during investigation that the splash on the face of the lady was accidental. Detective Ashiagbo told the court it came to her attention but insisted there was an intention to dip her face into the pepper. Lawyer de Medeiros then told the court they intend to file a submission of no case for the matter to be dismissed at the next hearing. He explained the move to the press at the close of proceedings.
Today you guys were all in court. You heard what the investigators said. Even though I do not want to go into the details of our cross-examination, you all heard that the investigators said that this was an accident. In view of that, we intend to bring a submission of no case. Indeed, you would agree with us that we have said time and again that this was an accident. It was our clients never intended to have pepper or put pepper in the girl's eyes. This is what we call occupational hazard. Some of these things happen in our offices, it happens in our factories, it happens in the restaurant. So the investigator has confirmed and admitted that this was an accident. So in view of that, we'll bring a submission of no.
Hearing continues on Wednesday, April 19th.
The chairman of the opposition National Democratic Congress has described as shambolic and theatrical the 2,400 cedis fine handed to each of the 13 members of the vigilante group Delta Force for daring to escape from the custody of the court. Kofi Potofi said the court cannot treat lightly a grievous offense in which local terrorists associated with the governing New Patriotic Party physically attacked the court. Addressing a news conference Wednesday, the NDC leader blamed the president for acts of vandalism and attacks perpetrated by militant groups affiliated to the NPP.
Never be condoned under any circumstance. Ladies and gentlemen, as a lawyer, President Akufo-Addo is an officer of the court. He should therefore be concerned when the court is physically attacked and the presiding judge threatened. But President Anado doesn't seem to care. His public posture has rather sent wrong signals to the judiciary and law enforcement. How else do we interpret the decision of the Kumasi court to treat so lightly violent elements who had escaped lawful custody? That ruling was shambolic and theatrical and only compounds the national disgrace that Prosomati has described. It will certainly have grave ramifications for law and order in this country. This latest manifestation of Nana Akufo-Addo, all die be die mantra, could plunge the nation into further lawlessness with grave consequences. Indeed, we now have every reason to believe that the Akufo-Addo presidency is complicit in the violence being unleashed by Delta Force, invisible forces, Kandahar, and the like. Ladies and gentlemen, what is even more disturbing in all these developments is the loud silence of civil society groups and some among the clergy and academia who hitherto found it necessary to condemn every action of the previous NDC government from the position of being public and moral conscience of our society. All of a sudden, they have abandoned their neutral outlook. They have ceased being the conscience of the nation. We don't want to believe that today's attitude of some clergy and civil society toward the disturbing developments in the political scene in Ghana is born out of political or ethnic prejudice, or is arising out of hypocrisy and double standards? Yes, we have heard from the Ghana Bar Association, CODEO, and the Peace Council and others, but only in respect of the mayhem caused by the so-called Delta Force in Kumasi. But where was the Ghana Bar Association, CODEO, Peace Council, etc., when the NPP brought in mercenaries from South Africa to train these terrorist elements? Where was the Peace Council when, after the elections, these NPP elements attacked, bent down, and in some cases took over operations of toll booths at Fiapre in the Brong-Ahafo region?
The NDC chair also expressed optimism that party will return to power as Ghanaians have realized their mistake of voting out the NDC.
All of us, from the rank and file to senior members, must understand that we cannot fight the NPP with a divided front. And if we, by our actions, create a void, our detractors will continue to fill the void with falsehoods and, to quote Donald Trump, fake news. I wish to remind all party faithfuls that when the NDC lost elections in the year 2000, it encountered challenges similar to what we are experiencing today. At that time, we managed to put aside our differences and worked together to recover from the electoral defeat, emerging victorious from opposition in 2008. The NDC can do it again. Sure. Not in 8 years, but God willing, in 4 years. Why am I optimistic that the NDC can bounce back in 2020? Ladies and gentlemen, don't we hear Ghanaians expressing regret that they have exchanged their color TVs for black and white? Don't we hear expressions of anger from trotro and taxi drivers over incessant increases in fuel prices, contrary to what Nana Addo promised them during his campaign? Don't we hear the anger and disappointment of parents who are now being told by President Akufo-Addo that the free SHS is not free for all SHS students?
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We'll bring you business news thereafter. But stay tuned, we have more.
A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to the business segment of the news. Now, government is to institute a new approach in dealing with issues of unfair trade practices and dumping of goods into Ghana. This is part of recommendations to all members of the World Trade Organization to check challenges raised by various stakeholders in trading among member countries. This was revealed by the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Robert Ahomka-Lindsay, in an interview with Joy Business after addressing members of the Ghana-South Africa Business Chamber in Accra. There's more in this report.
The worry of many Ghanaian traders about Ghana being used as a dumping grounds for substandard goods will soon be a thing of the past. This is as a result of government's move to constitute an institution known as the International Trade Tariff Commission with the mandate of checking such unfair trade practices against the country. Deputy Trade and Industry Minister Robert Ahomka-Lindsay, in an interview after addressing business leaders at the Power Breakfast meeting held in Accra, noted the commission will be inaugurated before the end of this month.
Set up under WTO rules to address areas where anti-competitive practices are being done. So this commission is an independent entity whose function it is to listen to complaints from the private sector. But let's be clear what those complaints are. So if people are dumping things or they are engaging in things that are anti-competitive, we'll look at that. And that is different from, for instance, some of the challenges the garment and textiles industry are facing, where people are just basically pirating their products. Those require enforcement of the laws, and we will do that with the various entities. But the International Tariff Commission focus is to try within WTO rules to ensure that where we see sustained practices that are anti-competitive and basically are sponsored, it can address it.
He further assures members of the Ghana South African Business Chapter of government support in growing their businesses. Ashley Ricks is the president of the Ghana South Africa Business Chamber.
I think, trade between Ghana and South Africa has always been very good, and it continues to be good. Obviously, we're still seeing the majority of, if you sort of take petroleum out of the equation, because obviously that's a big export that Ghana sends to South Africa from time to time. You take that out of the equation, the trade balance is obviously in South Africa's favour. But as the Minister said today, that's something that they're looking at readdressing by putting the factories here, by having a look at what sort of raw materials, what sort of things we can produce in Ghana to export, automobiles, pharmaceuticals, to increase the export of Ghana and probably readdress that trade imbalance between Ghana and South Africa.
This year's Power Breakfast meeting was used as a platform to discuss key businesses concerns between Ghana and South Africa.
March inflation has dropped to 12.8% as compared with the rate of 13.2% recorded in February 2016. According to the Statistical Service, non-food inflation for the same month was 15.6% as compared with the 16.4% recorded in February this year. Acting Government Statistician Bhagya, who announced this, explained activities in the transport and education sectors were contributory factors to this rate.
The year-on-year inflation rate, as measured by the Consumer Price Index (CPI), stood at 12.8% in March 2017, down by 0.4 percentage point from the 13.2% recorded in February 2017. This rate is a change in the CPI over the 12-month period from March 2016 to March 2017. Dr. Bhagya is the acting government statistician.
Were attributed mainly to declines in transport, basically to non-food inflation. Non-food inflation went down, and the key non-food subgroups that recorded falls include transport, then health, education, and I think recreation and health.
But between February and March, you haven't seen any much change in these sectors that you mentioned. So it's quite surprising that we are having them being the contributory factor to this rate.
It's because of the method that we use in computing the inflation rate. These are year-on-year inflation rates. So we are comparing prices in this year's March to prices in March 2016.
On the regional differentials, Greater Accra, Ashanti and Bonahafo regions recorded rates higher than the national average.
Price is a function of what? Demand and supply. I think the demand and the propensity to spend is higher in these regions.
So there's so much propensity to spend in Accra.
Exactly, I think so. Okay. Maybe we have to do a study to firm it, but that is my guess. Yeah.
Okay. So moving forward, are we expecting a higher rate of inflation or a lower?
It depends on the policies and the effect of those policies, government policies on the markets.
Okay.
Particularly the market for consumer items and services.
Okay. The CPI measures the change over time in the general price level of goods and services that households acquire for the purpose of consumption.
Government says it is awaiting approval from the ECOWAS Secretariat to finally remove tax on imported spare parts. This was after it secured parliamentary approval to implement several tax cuts announced in the 2017 budget, including the removal of a 1% levy on imported items, 17.5% VAT on imported medical equipment. However, firms in the spare parts business have criticized government over delays in removing the taxes. But Deputy Finance Minister Kweku Kwatin tells Joy Business they are also working on the specific items that would be affected before implementation.
We've been having engagements with the Spare Parts Association. First, you need to agree with the spare parts dealers what would be captured in this policy. Because there are, when you say spare parts, you have bolts and nuts, you have nails, so you must be careful. And I use nails. Actually, it was in our meetings with the spare parts dealers that I got to know that some of them actually use nails in their vehicle repairs. And so if that is the situation, then you need to engage closely with the spare parts dealers and come out with a list that would be captured under this tax measure. Now, we have concluded on those, but we have also had to engage with the ECOWAS Secretariat, because as they are imports that are captured under the ECOWAS Common External Tariff, the procedure, of course, we have the allowance to do what we did, and there's no worry that ECOWAS would overrule Ghana. It would definitely be granted because we are still within our quota, but it would require procedure. That is why it is not going to happen. It has not happened immediately. But if you look at the haste and the urgency that we attach to the other tax reliefs, I think it should give the assurance that we would attend the commitment to reduce these import duties with the same level of urgency, and the spare part dealers should be assured that the relief would happen very soon.
You're going to say all other things being equal. What proposed period, not date, are we looking at this thing materializing?
It's hard to put. I'm new to this office, and I have not engaged with the ECOWAS Secretariat, but I don't think this should take long. Suffice to say, we'll work as quickly as we can on this.
The Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems GIPS says it plans to complete work to fully integrate mobile money transactions across telcos platforms in 6 months' time. This was after the organization was given the green light to start managing the platform for the process. The Bank of Ghana had earlier argued it settled on SIPTON because of capacity and funding issues with GIPS. Chief Executive of GIPS, Archie Hersey, tells Joy Business the plan now is to ensure they meet the targets.
Interoperability means so many things to so many people. So what we have done initially is to come out with the business requirements. What do we intend to achieve from this interoperability? We've come up with the initial requirements. We've shared it amongst all the various stakeholders, and we believe that we've come to the stage where we have a comprehensive list of business requirements, which will be when the following deliverables have been achieved. Then we.
And that's all in business for tonight. Many thanks for joining me. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. We are good evening.
Now, the Ghana cedi has shown considerable appreciation in value against the US dollar in recent weeks after depreciating to the point one needed 5 cedis to obtain a US dollar. The US dollar is now being exchanged for 4.23 cedis, even though it was at some point this week at 4.09. So what is responsible for the sudden strengthening of the local currency? That's the question presidential correspondent Elton Brobe put to Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta on the sidelines of the swearing-in of new ministers. He believes Ghana is on a path to prosperity that is irreversible and that people should not be too concerned. He also spoke about a $2 million loan for the purchase of vehicles by government.
Well, all we did with this one was to reprofile to get a long tenor. And of course, with the freeing of fiscal space, with the earmark funds, 4 billion cedis of it was was given to us. And then we are reducing the deficit from 8.7% to 6.5%. So all of that is an indication of the gradual. I mean, we want to be around 65% or so by 2019. I think we are progressively going to get there.
My final question will be this: ministers not buying new cars. Now the minority is saying is that before Parliament went on recess, they approved a loan of $2 million for the purchase of vehicles. I don't know if you want to speak to this particular issue.
No, the only vehicles that I'm aware of really is for parliamentarians and Council of State. So I haven't seen any ministers. The directive was quite clear from the Office of the President. The minority should find out what it is, but it is for them.
Now, we do have another story about the Ghana cedi. It has to do with the 5 Ghana cedi. The story comes up later, but right now, still at this very program, loyalty to the minister is a fundamental premise for the success to your work, and I will not countenance any act of disloyalty or subversion of your minister. Those were the words of President Akufo-Addo to 50 deputy ministers sworn in Wednesday to complete his ministerial appointments. The ceremony brings to 110 the number of ministers in the Akufo-Addo government. The large number of deputy ministers to be sworn in, meanwhile, meant that the presidency had to shift the event from the Flagstaff House to the more spacious banquet hall of the State House. President Akufo-Addo, following criticism about the large size of his government, tasked the deputy ministers to justify the number by working hard to achieve desired results.
You are aware of the controversies surrounding your appointments. Several unpalatable words have been used to describe them. Quote, obscene, unquote, quote, jobs for the boys, amongst others. These criticisms impose a clear obligation on you to justify your selection, especially as you know that there are many of your peers in the House who have not been selected, even though they have similar claims of competence as yourselves. I am equally involved in your success, for your success vindicates me. Your success will be a function of 3 things. First is the spirit of loyalty you exhibit to your ministers. Article 79, Clause 1 of the Constitution provides that a deputy minister is appointed by the President in consultation with the minister and with the prior approval of Parliament to assist the minister in the performance of his or her functions. Your basic responsibility is thus to assist your minister in the performance of his or her functions.
Deputy Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah, who spoke on behalf of his colleagues, promised they would deliver on the roles assigned them.
The migration of the great majority of you from the legislature to the executive does not relieve you of your duties as members of the legislature. You will, like members of the British Parliament, have to learn how to balance effectively.
It's indeed an honor to be identified from this large pool of talent available to assist the honorable ministers in the performance of their functions and for the efficient running of the state. We have sworn the various oaths as required by the Constitution, and beyond that, we commit ourselves to work diligently and faithfully to justify the confidence and honor reposed in us. Mr. President, as you have required of us, we will work with loyalty to our superiors and to the state. We will work with honesty and competence to provide public service and not for our personal gain. For those who are members of Parliament, we will be minded by the twin responsibilities that you have reminded us of this morning. We are cognizant of the criticism that has been associated with our appointments, and Mr. President, we will work to vindicate your decision. On a lighter note, as you remind yourself of the bone of your bones today, please consider us as bone of your bone in government, and we'll serve in that capacity as well.
Right, so on the 16th of April, which is just in a few days, the President Akufo-Addo will be 100 days in government, and we will be profiling and assessing what he has done so far. I'm sure you'd have seen the promos that has been running on Joy News in the last few days. Let's get to watch the promo and I'll come back. We'll have a discussion about that.
After steering the affairs of the country for more than 3 months, how much progress has been made? Joy News brings you a special conversation on 100 Days of Change, a live town hall meeting with Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, focusing on economy, corruption, free SHS, transition, energy, and more. 100 Days of Change, time with the Vice. Live on Joy News on Multi TV, Joy 99.7 FM, and by joyonline.com. The hashtag Ask Bawumia, 100 Days of Change, time with the Vice.
All right, so it's 100 Days of Change, time with the Vice, and this event is coming on the 17th of April. But before that event itself, where we're going to host the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Bawumia, at a town hall event, we're going to be having a series of programs. And to tell us more about that, I have in the studio this evening with me Julian. She is in charge of special events or special projects here at Joy News. And then I also have Georgie, who will be doing the business side of the 100 days build-up. And you're welcome to the studios. Jahu, you've been working on this for a while now. Tell us, what are we to expect on the day?
Well, on the actual day that we are it actually starts on the 16th, as you rightly said. And so there'll be an editors forum, which we do every Sunday. That's from 4:30 to 6:30.
So this is going to be a special.
It'll be, yes. So we'll discuss, the editors will give their own opinions on how they think the first 100 days of the Akufo-Addo administration has fared. On the Monday, which is incidentally also Easter Monday, we'll have that big town hall event that you've already mentioned from 10 a.m. And we've invited some stakeholders, and there's also a limited number of tickets available at the reception of Joy FM, where the public, members of the public, can come up and pick up some tickets and also participate in this event.
So it is remarkable that we're actually having the Vice President be part of this. This is a Joy News exclusive event.
Exclusive.
How were you able to put it together?
It was a long process, and a lot of people were involved. Yourself, Georgie was involved. We had Seth Kwangwating. It was quite it was a combined effort, like collaborative effort between the newsroom, and also we approached the Vice President quite early on with this idea, and we've been working with the Vice President's office on this actual 100-day production. So basically, our credibility as a Joy News brand was one of the reasons that they were happy to work with us, because they know that there'll be a certain level of objectivity, if I can put it that way, when it comes to approaching the issues. Also, as you know, the election coverage also made sure that the Joy News brand was seen as the brand when it comes to news and current affairs and knowing where you need to go for authentic sources of news. So those were some of the reasons why we had that. But once again, in terms of the coverage, even though this town hall meeting is the biggest event in terms of the entire coverage, we also have documentaries, we have features, and we also do some special programming. For instance, The Pulse, which is our afternoon current affairs bell, so that's 3 to 5 p.m. Would also be having some conversations around the 100-day market. And it seems as if already it's caught on. Like, for instance, today we had the opposition party coming up with, in a way, a little bit of analysis on what they think the first 100 days have had for us.
Now, one of the things that we're also going to be talking about in a bit has to do with how people can send their questions directly to the Vice President, and that's going to be asked. We're going to be talking about it in a bit. But Georgie is going to be looking at the business side. How far have we gone with that?
I mean, already we've been engaging some members in the business community. Atu Forson, who's the former Deputy Minister of Finance, has been speaking about it. Some investment analysts as well, and some CEOs that we've all been engaging. And we already started speaking to them because the Vice President or the new administration came on board with the promise of making private sector the engine of growth. So over the last, is it 90 days, 95 days, have they seen those policies that they think that it gives them that indication that going forward things will be good? And the reactions or the views have been mixed. For most of them, they said the Ghana cedi as a very critical factor, that what they've seen so far with the Ghana cedi gives them some indication or an indication that more good things to come. So already some of them are giving them thumbs up. So now your concern has to be with those vigilante groups and what they are doing and its implications on investment attraction. That's been one of the lows for this administration. But for them, most of them, giving them 70% mark, 65%, 80% mark, actually, when it comes to how they are managing the economy and what they plan to do going forward.
Now, on the day itself, what are we to expect from
Well, on the
business?
day itself, we should expect a series of reportage on the issues, engaging those who matter, and the bigger economy. What are the views of these people? But tomorrow, we'll be doing a program on the 100 days with some economists, businesses as well, and it'll be live on TV, radio, and online.
All right, Jahu, so how do people also get to put their questions through to be asked of the Vice President?
Well, there are two ways you can do that. The first way is simply to go on to any of our platforms, as in the Join News platform. Join News on TV, on Facebook, on Twitter, or Join 99.7 FM on Facebook, Twitter, and also on Instagram. And just use the hashtag #AskBaumia. You ask the question, you target #AskBaumia, and that makes it easy for our editorial team to just go to the hashtag and fish out these questions and pose it to the Vice President on the day. The second way you could do this is to actually take a video of yourself. Just pick up your smartphone, ask a question straight into camera, and you send it to our WhatsApp number, and that is 0244 340 437.
Okay, so you need to take this number again, Jahu.
So it's 0244 340 437, and that's the WhatsApp line. So you just take a video of your question, send it through to that WhatsApp line, and on the day we'll play that video to the Vice President, and hopefully you'll be able to get the answers that you're looking for.
Wow, I think this is just wonderful. I mean, you are getting the opportunity for the Vice President to see you ask him a question. That's just wonderful. You need to save that number. But thank you very much, Jahu. And we're going to be having the promo running on radio as well as on TV and online as well. And it's going to be going around on WhatsApp. So do look out for it and make a date for that. But thank you once again, Jahu. Jahu Yan is in charge of special projects here at Joy News. And then Georgie Afi is with business as a news editor, a business news editor here at Joy News. All right, so now the Bank of Ghana has debunked speculation that the new 5 CD banknote, which has been in circulation for some weeks now, has the mark of, quote, the Antichrist. There are reports some have refused to accept it because they believe it is satanic. An advisor to the central bank governor, Catherine Ashley, told a sensitization workshop at Hoho in the Volta region the tactile marks wrongfully referred to as the mark of the Antichrist is a modern security feature which is being added to banknotes worldwide to assist the visually impaired, and urged the media and other stakeholders to help educate the public on the misconception. Fred Kwame Sari's report. So we do apologize, but we'd have to bring you back that story because it's important. You get to hear what the Bank of Ghana has to say about that. The Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners has described calls for a total ban on small-scale mining as a lazy approach to solving the devastating effects of the sector on the environment. The association says the solution to legal mining is to draw a distinction between certified and legal miners engaged in direct pollution of the environment and not an outright ban. Speaking at a news conference in Kumasi, the miners who claim to have acquired licenses and are operating in an environmentally friendly manner want government to form alliances with them and encourage good mining practices. Lava Firm's Erastus Saharadonko reports.
The Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners expressed misgivings about how media reportage has lumped licensed and illegal miners together as agents of destruction to the environment. The association says the role of small-scale miners in producing a third of the country's gold cannot be overlooked. Director of Operations of the association, Emmanuel Irenchi Entry, wants government to rather create alliances with registered small-scale miners to encourage good mining practices.
That we are against those who are destroying the water bodies, and those people are localized. We can attack them as they are. The dredgers, the Tototo people, or the Chamfine, as in the local parlance they will call it. We can do this together. The Small Scale Association have written an agreement with UMAT, and we have started implementing it. We are training our members, and those who are not even our members yet, on how to do environmentally friendly mining. It is all there to show if the media coalition is indeed interested in seeing the good of Ghana, they should get in touch with the association for us to tell them and know the fight that they are fighting and how they should fight it and who they should direct their attacks onto, and not small-scale mining as a general. And as it stands now, the direct and indirect dependence on small-scale mining sector is about 25% of the total population of Ghana. What are we talking about here? Those who are calling for the total ban, they should just halt it. They should halt it because that's a lazy man's approach.
National General Secretary of the association, Godwin Amar, tells Love News attempts to team up previously with national security to flush out those mining illegally in water bodies did not get support.
It has been a major headache, but now that there's visibility, the media and everyone is in support. Anything that we do, we invite the media. Now we are doing a lot of flush outs around Takwa and Pristia. We are encouraging and we are calling the local FM station and all to be part. And we will always use our task force to make sure that we liaise with the MDCs, the district mining committees.
Prophet Kingsley Jamfi, a small-scale miner who assembled his employees in full gear to the media, argues those with licenses should be supported to work to boost the local economy.
In years past, some people were arrested for not adhering to environmental laws. My uncle was almost jailed for that. But since there were no support from the government, it was unsuccessful.
Reporting
for Joy News, Erastus Asaridonko, Love FM, Kumasi.
Right, so we're returning to our earlier story that has to do with the 5 CD notes, which you can see here. The speculation that the new notes, which has been in circulation for some weeks now, has the mark of the Antichrist. But the Bank of Ghana has been reacting to this. Let's listen to this report put together by Fred Kwame Asare.
In March this year, the Bank of Ghana issued a new 5 CD banknote in commemoration of its 60th anniversary celebrations. The new banknote has 8 distinct security features and smaller in size from the other banknotes in circulation. However, a cross-section of the public and some religious groups have wrongfully interpreted the 3 strides in 3 blocks at both sides of the banknote to be the mark of the Antichrist, therefore labeling the new banknote as satanic. Catherine Ashley, who is the advisor to the governor of the central bank, explains the new 5 CD banknote design, which received a worldwide commendation, is not satanic as being speculated. She adds the note is a limited edition which would become a collected item with great value on international market after a period of time.
This is just a one-off print. We are not going to print this particular note again. If 10 years down the line we decide, or 5 years or whatever, we decide to even reprint it as the 5 CD, it will not have the text celebrating 60 years of central bank. It will be off. You remember in 2010 we issued a 2 CD note, and it was to celebrate Kwame Nkrumah's 100th birthday. That 2 CD note with the commemorative text is no longer printed. Now that text is no more there, and that note it's now become what we call a collector's item. All around the world, there are people who collect choice notes and coins to sell later.
The Deputy Chief Manager of the Currency Management Department of the Bank of Ghana, Dominic Owusu, explains why the 3 strides in 3 blocks called the tactile marks were strategically placed at both edges of the note.
Whatever you do here, you cannot only do it on one side of the note, but you have to do it also here. Now let's pay attention to the power, to the pointer. Look at here. Have you seen this side? Have you seen that the continuation is there? Look at these things here. The continuation is also here. Have you seen this color here? The continuation is also here. Those are standards. That is why the blind recognition features are here and also here.
Persons who are still ignorant about the security features of the new 5 CD banknotes are advised to download a QR scanner on their smartphones and scan the QR code column on the banknote, which takes them directly to the website of the Bank of Ghana for complete information on the banknote. Fred Kwame Asaris reports for Joy News.